Normally, when you think about starting over, right, hitting that big shiny reset button in your life, there's this deeply ingrained expectation of a perfectly clean slate.
Oh, absolutely. The classic January 1st mentality.
Right, like you toss out all the junk food in your pantry, you
Ah,
crack open a brand new leather-bound planner.
smells like fresh pine. Yeah.
Exactly. And the universe seemingly points at this wide open, completely empty road ahead and just says, there you go, no baggage, have at it.
Which is, I mean, it's an incredibly seductive fantasy. We desperately want progress to feel linear, right? We
Yeah.
want it to be hygienic and neatly organized.
Yeah.
We basically just want to be able to put our past in a box, tape it shut, and leave it in the attic forever.
Which would be nice.
Mm-hmm.
But if you step outside and look at the actual astrological weather we are walking into this week, that pristine, untouched new planner you just bought, it's currently sitting outside in a torrential downpour.
Oh, yeah. Totally ruined.
Half the pages are glued together with spilled coffee. There are old receipts stuffed in the margins. We are looking at a cosmic landscape right now that is, frankly, handing you a fresh start, completely covered in emotional baggage and mixed signals. So welcome to this deep dive.
It is a messy week, but I always say messy doesn't mean bad. The friction is where the growth actually happens.
Which is exactly why we're here.
Yeah.
Our mission today is to help you navigate this week's incredibly potent, sometimes entirely contradictory cosmic weather.
Very contradictory.
Yeah, we've taken a massive stack of sources, so horoscopes, planetary transit data, tarot correlations, specifically for July 13th through the 19th of 2026. And we're going to extract the actual mechanics of what is happening, not to tell you what to expect, but explain why it's happening so you can pull some practical, grounded insights for your life, your love, your career, without just drowning in collective anxiety.
And let's be honest, there is a lot of anxiety out there right now.
Totally.
Largely because there's this immense concentration of energy pushing us to evolve. But if we break it down, the absolute main event of the week, like the engine driving everything else, is what's happening in the sign of Cancer. Specifically, we have a massive Cancer stellium peaking with a new moon on Tuesday, July 14th.
Okay. Before we go further into the deep end here, let's define our terms for anyone who doesn't, spend their weekends reading ephemerides. What exactly constitutes a stellium, and why does having one in Cancer carry so much weight?
Right. So a stellium is simply a cluster. It's when you have 3 or more planets gathered together in a single zodiac sign or a single astrological house.
Okay.
When planets group up like this, they amplify each other. It's kind of like putting a bunch of loud instruments in a very small room.
Well, that makes sense.
The acoustics change, and that specific frequency takes over the whole house. So right now we have the sun, Mercury, and this new moon all converging in Cancer.
And Cancer is ruled by the moon, right?
Yeah.
So this isn't just like any new moon.
Precisely. In astrology, every sign has a planetary ruler. When a planet is in the sign it rules, we say it has domicile or dignity. It's basically sitting in its own living room. The moon rules Cancer.
Okay.
So a new moon in Cancer is the moon operating at absolute peak strength. Cancer, as an archetype, is fundamentally about the mother, the home, the roots, and profound emotional security. It basically asks the question, what actually makes you feel safe?
But not just the physical house with a good alarm system, right? We're talking deeper.
No, the internal home, your emotional foundation.
Yeah.
Because a new moon always represents the start of a 28-day lunar cycle, so a reset.
Right.
But because this reset is happening with the moon at maximum power in Cancer, it requires a deeply emotional purging. You're being asked to draw a firm, undeniable line under the past year and turn over a new leaf. And you have to focus entirely on nurturing that foundation.
But see, this is where the cosmic weather gets wildly contradictory to me. Because we're being asked to build this beautiful, secure new foundation to hit reset. But Mercury is retrograde in Cancer at the exact same time, all the way until July 23rd.
Yep, it's a lot.
So I'm trying to picture this. It feels like you're walking through a brand new emotional house that you are so excited to move into, but the blueprints keep changing in your hands while you're walking down the hallways.
I wouldn't say the blueprints are changing so much as the architect is suddenly speaking to you in riddles based on how they felt 10 years ago.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Because Mercury is the planet of logistics, intellect, and communication. When it goes retrograde, its energy is directed inward and backward. Now, put that backward-looking communication planet into the highly sensitive emotional waters of Cancer.
Logic just completely drowns in emotion.
It gets entirely submerged. When Mercury is retrograde in Cancer, our thoughts are heavily, unavoidably colored by our feelings. We desperately crave deep, intimate communication right now. We want those heart-to-heart connections. But our objectivity is completely shot.
So practically speaking for the listener, what does that look like on, a random Tuesday?
Well, it looks like extreme subjectivity. You might be at work and a colleague makes a very standard casual observation about a spreadsheet. But because of this transit, you hear it as a devastating critique of your worth as an employee.
Oh, geez.
Right. Or in a relationship, you might project a wound from an ex-partner onto your current partner who, simply asked what was for dinner. We're moving away from processing a high quantity of factual information, and instead we are demanding emotional resonance, which makes communication highly prone to misunderstanding.
It's like trying to read a dense technical manual through a pair of highly emotional, tear-stained glasses. Like everything is blurry and just feels personal.
Yes, exactly. And while all this heavy, subjective, emotional water energy is sloshing around in Cancer, the sky is simultaneously giving us these two completely different, almost abrasive background energies. We have Venus in Virgo and we have Mars in Gemini.
Okay, let's unpack these two, because Venus is the planet of love and attraction, and Virgo is an earth sign known for being meticulous. Venus in Virgo sounds, kind of sounds strict, doesn't sound very romantic.
I mean, it depends on your definition of romance. Venus in Virgo is practical love. Virgo is mutable earth. It's grounded, it's analytical, and it's highly focused on improvement and service.
Okay.
When the planet of love moves through this sign, love needs to have a tangible purpose. You are not going to see grand, sweeping, cinematic declarations of love with Venus in Virgo. Romeo standing beneath a balcony reciting poetry is not Venus in Virgo.
What is Venus in Virgo, then?
Venus in Virgo is someone noticing that your tires look a little low, taking your car, filling up the gas tank, checking the tire pressure, and then coming back and organizing your mail while they cook you a nutritionally balanced dinner. Wow.
Yeah. It is saying, I love you, by performing acts of service that actively improve your daily life.
So it's the concept of health is wealth applied directly to romance.
Exactly. The love is literally in the details. However, the shadow side, which we always have to look at, is that this placement can make you overly critical or nitpicky with the people you care about. When you show love by trying to fix or improve someone's life, it can easily translate as nagging.
I can definitely see that. I love you, but you loaded the dishwasher wrong and it's stressing me out.
Right. And then you combine that meticulous, grounded love energy with Mars currently transiting through Gemini. Mars represents our drive, our action, how we assert ourselves, our ambition. And Gemini is mutable air. It is the sign of the twins, ruled by Mercury, the communicator. So when the warrior planet enters the sign of the communicator, what happens?
The warrior uses words as weapons, or, at least as tools. Exactly. Mars in Gemini is incredibly talkative, versatile, and highly tactical. It is mental energy on absolute overdrive. You want to pursue 10 different ideas at once. But because it's Gemini air energy, it can be incredibly scattered.
Let me put these pieces together. We have a deep, emotional, backward-looking new moon in Cancer. We have practical, hypercritical love with Venus in Virgo. And we have scattered, fast-talking, multifaceted ambition with Mars in Gemini.
It's quite the cocktail.
It really is. But we can't fully set the stage for this week without addressing the absolute elephant in the sky. Looking at the sources, they keep referring to this massive planetary alignment as the magic triangle.
Yes. And we really need to spend a moment on this because it is a major generation-defining aspect involving the outer planets, which move very slowly and dictate broader eras of our lives. Right now, we have Uranus making a trine to Pluto.
Remind us what a trine is and why Uranus and Pluto talking to each other actually matters.
A trine is an astrological aspect where two planets are roughly 120 degrees apart on the zodiac wheel. It's considered an incredibly harmonious, flowing angle. Energy moves easily between the two planets.
Okay.
Uranus is the planet of sudden change, rebellion, innovation. Pluto is the planet of destruction, rebirth, and deep subterranean power. When these two form a flowing trine, it signals radical evolutionary transformation on a mass scale.
But the sources say Neptune is at the focal point of this, and Jupiter is involved too, right?
Yes. Neptune, the planet of dreams, illusions, and collective consciousness, is acting as the apex, or the focal point of this alignment. And the entire structure is being amplified by Jupiter. Jupiter is currently sitting in Leo, forming a direct opposition, so a 180-degree angle of tension to Pluto. Jupiter expands whatever it touches, so it is magnifying Pluto's power struggles.
Now, I have to bring this up, because I was reading through the mundane astrology sources. The astrologers who look at global geopolitical events rather than personal horoscopes, they look at this exact magic triangle alignment, specifically noting that it's happening right between the Castor and Pollux stars in the Gemini constellation, which historically represents duality and sibling rivalry.
Yes.
And these sources are predicting intense global showdowns. We're talking about AI bubbles bursting, massive political volatility, power struggles over global choke points, and this sibling rivalry playing out on a macro international scale. My question to you is, if you're just a person trying to live your life, how on earth do you look at this cosmic weather report and not get completely swept up in collective doom scrolling and anxiety?
It is the crucial question of the week, and it is exactly why we need to ground this information. Look, mundane astrology looks at the macro, and there is undeniable tension in the global chart right now. Jupiter opposing Pluto absolutely correlates with large-scale power struggles and economic volatility. We see this in the news. However, if we pull this down to the micro level, to the bigger picture of your personal, individual life, the spiritual mandate of this alignment is fundamentally about overcoming fear, anxiety, and rivalry. We are just reporting on what the charts say for the collective, but you don't have to absorb that as personal panic.
But how does a tense alignment help you overcome fear? Doesn't it just generate it?
It generates the pressure needed for a breakthrough. Uranus trine Pluto in your personal chart is about evolutionary change. You simply cannot evolve if you stay comfortable. Neptune at the focal point means this is a highly potent time to revise your deepest hopes and dreams. It's a call to get in touch with your most idealistic self.
So active resistance against the fear-mongering.
Precisely. The energy is intense, undeniably. But intense energy is just raw fuel. You have a choice in how you apply it. You can use a gallon of gasoline to burn your house down in a panic, or you can put it in a vehicle and drive somewhere new.
I like that.
The message this week is to use this heavy, transformative energy to honestly assess where you feel insecure, and then use that beautiful, nurturing Cancer new moon to plant seeds of real security. Do not let the macro anxiety distract you from your microevolution.
Okay, I love that framing.
Yeah.
We are opting to use the fuel for the vehicle, not the fire. So with this incredibly complex, emotional, and transformative sky acting as our backdrop, what does this actually mean for you personally? Let's transition from the broad sky to the actual sparks on the Zodiac wheel. We're going to go sign by sign to see exactly how this new moon and this chaotic cosmic cocktail is showing up for your specific sun, moon, or rising sign. And we always start at the beginning, with a spark that ignites the entire wheel, Aries.
For Aries, if you really want to understand their current reality, we have to look at the influence of Saturn. Saturn is currently transiting through Aries, and Saturn is a heavy, demanding placement, especially for a fire sign. Saturn is the taskmaster of the zodiac. It represents time, restriction, karma, and maturity. It is actively demanding that Aries learn discipline, structure, and patience.
Which, if you know anything about the mythology of Aries, ruled by Mars, the god of war, patience and structure are basically swear words to them. Aries wants to go fast, break things, act on pure impulse.
Exactly. It's a profound clash of energies. In terms of work, money, and ambition right now, Saturn is putting up roadblocks and asking for a mandatory slowdown. It's forcing them to build a foundation instead of just charging into battle. However, this beautiful new moon in Cancer is highlighting their home and family sector.
Oh, interesting.
It is fascinating because it takes all that frustrated ambition and turns their personal space, their actual physical home environment, into the primary launch pad for their inspiration. They're being taught that they need to ground themselves at home to find their ambition out in the world.
I'm trying to visualize this clash. Is it kind of like a professional race car driver, which is peak Aries energy, being forced by their manager to sit in the garage and meticulously clean, label, and organize their entire tool chest before they're even allowed to look at the track?
I think that's a very apt way to look at it, yeah. They possess all this incredible horsepower, but Saturn is saying, if the garage is a mess and your tools are scattered, the car is going to crash the moment you hit a tight corner. The Cancer new moon is giving Aries absolute permission to embrace the garage, to stop fighting the delay and actually make their home a sanctuary.
So how does this play out in their social life? How is love looking while our Aries friends are busy aggressively organizing their tool chests?
Well, Venus is actually shedding a really beautiful practical light on their relationship sector right now. And this gets a major boost when the moon eventually enters Libra over the weekend. Libra is Aries' direct opposite sign on the wheel, and it rules partnership, balance, and harmony. The key for Aries this week is realizing that diplomacy is their absolute best weapon. With Mercury retrograde causing communication chaos, Aries cannot just bulldoze their way through a relationship disagreement right now. They have to pause, listen, and negotiate.
Which brings us to the emotional or spiritual lesson of the week for our Rams.
It's all about finding a delicate, sustainable balance between their natural, fierce independence and the very real, very human need for a strong, organized foundation. Aries likes to pretend they don't need anyone or anything.
So true.
This transit is teaching them that depending on a secure home base or a supportive partner doesn't make them weak or less independent. It makes them sustainable for the long haul.
So to make this actionable, what is the one practical thing an Aries should do this week?
Organize your physical abode. Truly. Spend actual time this week rearranging a room, cleaning out a closet, or creating a dedicated, clean workspace. By physically organizing your immediate personal space, you will satisfy that Saturnian need for structure, which will paradoxically unblock the mental and emotional channels you need to get your big, fiery ideas flowing again.
Get the tool chest in order, Aries. Now, this focus on foundation actually brings up an interesting contrast with how our fixed Earth signs handle this energy. Because while Aries is wrestling with organizing their physical space, if you look at Taurus, they seem to be focusing entirely on organizing their people.
Yes, the focus shifts outward for Taurus. For Taurus, the work, money, and ambition sector is heavily geared toward collaboration this week. Working within a team structure is highly favored for them right now. This Cancer new moon is operating in a sector of their chart that governs networks, bringing them new collaborative tasks, new responsibilities, and very likely an opportunity to step into a potential leadership role within a group setting. They are in a crucial phase of planting seeds that will eventually help them climb to the top of whatever mountain they are currently scaling.
Let me push back on that for a second.
Yeah.
Because Taurus is a fixed Earth sign.
Yeah.
They are symbolized by the bull. They are known for being, let's generously call it, steadfast.
Yeah.
But in reality, they love doing things their own way, and they hate being rushed or told to pivot. So how can a Taurus successfully lead a team this week without stubbornly micromanaging every single detail to fit their exact preferences?
It's a very fair point, and that is exactly the psychological tension they have to navigate this week. The key for Taurus is to utilize the specific flavor of that Cancer new moon energy. Cancer is about nurturing. Taurus needs to lead with nurturing rather than dictating. If Taurus can use their earthy stability to create a genuinely secure, safe environment for their team, where people feel supported rather than scrutinized, the team will naturally want to follow their steadfast vision. They don't need to force compliance. They need to cultivate trust.
Okay, that makes sense. Nurture the team, build the pasture, don't just boss the cattle around. What about love and social energy for the bull?
It's looking highly dynamic. Toward the end of the week, the moon moves into Virgo, which is a fellow Earth sign. This creates a flowing trine of energy for Taurus, bringing some genuinely thrilling moments. For single Taurians, it's a highly favorable time for meeting new people who actually share their practical, grounded values.
Nice.
For those already in relationships, this Virgo moon strengthens existing bonds through shared practical goals. And then as the week closes on Sunday, the moon shifts into Libra, which shifts the focus to a new love story entirely centered on the self and self-care.
So the emotional and spiritual lesson for Taurus seems intimately tied into this balancing act of self versus the group.
It absolutely is. The core lesson for Taurus this week is learning how to truly embrace collaboration, compromise, and shared responsibility without feeling like they're losing their trademark stubborn sense of self. They need to realize they can be a vital, integrated part of a larger whole without their individual identity being swallowed up or compromised.
What is the practical action for Taurus to execute this week?
Step up into the ring. Take on a collaborative or guiding role at work, or volunteer for a leadership position in a community project. Do not shy away from the responsibility just because it involves relying on the unpredictability of other people. Trust the team and trust your ability to guide them.
Trust the team. I like it. Now, moving from the fixed Earth of Taurus, we shift to mutable air. And while Taurus is busy building the physical team, it seems like Gemini is the one providing all the intellectual firepower this week.
Gemini is vibrating at an incredibly high frequency right now. We talked earlier about Mars currently transiting through Gemini. Mars is the planet of action, aggression, and drive. Furthermore, Uranus, the planet of electricity and sudden insight, has also been influencing Gemini.
Right.
This combination gives Gemini incredible tactical skills, mental agility, and flashes of absolute brilliance. In terms of work and ambition, they're highly talkative, deeply enthusiastic, and their minds are working a mile a minute analyzing every possible angle.
But wait, let's pause here. Because we also established that Mercury, which is Gemini's ruling planet, is currently retrograde in the highly emotional, subjective sign of Cancer. If Mars is making them talk fast and act scattered, and their ruling planet is actively glitching their communication and drowning it in feelings, how on earth does a Gemini avoid putting their foot squarely in their mouth this week?
This is the exact danger zone for Gemini right now. The risk of a profound miscommunication or sending an impulsive, emotionally charged email that ruins a professional relationship is exceptionally high. The way they avoid it is by consciously overriding their instinct. They have to use that sharp Mars and Gemini energy for strategizing rather than immediate execution.
So building the weapon, but not firing it.
Precisely. Draft the brilliant, scathing, or hyper-enthusiastic email, write the manifesto, but leave it in the drafts folder for a mandatory 24 hours. They need to rely on their tactical intelligence to realize that sometimes the smartest, most powerful move on the board is to observe the chaos and wait.
Hold the send button, Gemini. That is vital. How is their social and love energy playing out amidst all this mental static?
Midweek, the moon enters Leo and meets up with Jupiter. This is a gorgeous, expansive transit for Gemini because Leo, fire, and Gemini air feed each other. It gives Gemini absolute permission to shine unapologetically. They will feel vibrant, charismatic, and highly magnetic.
Oh, they'll love that.
Then, as the moon moves into Virgo later, they will feel a strong, grounding pull to reach out to loved ones and offer practical, tangible support, balancing out their earlier intellectual manic energy.
Which leads us directly to their spiritual lesson for the week.
Healing the ego. Gemini naturally thrives on external input. They are the communicators. They need a sounding board, they need information, feedback, conversation, and reaction. But this week, especially with that Leo moon and Jupiter conjunction expanding their sense of self, they are being asked to recognize their own wonderful qualities without needing an audience to validate them.
Learning to be okay with silence.
Yes. They need to know they are brilliant, capable, and worthy, even if there is absolutely no one in the room to clap for them. Self-validation is the lesson.
What is the practical action for Gemini to take?
Embrace the spotlight, but do it with immense intentionality. Share a bold idea or a creative project you've been sitting on. Even with Mercury retrograde, if it's an idea you've been developing for a long time, not a spontaneous urge, this is the week to let people see your brilliance. Just double and triple check your wording before you present it to the world.
Check the wording, then take the stage. Now, from Gemini's outward, fast-paced air communication, we are plunging directly into the deep cardinal waters of Cancer. And if we look at the transits, Cancer is, without a doubt, the absolute main character of this cosmic narrative.
They really are at the exact epicenter of the astrology right now. Having the sun, the new moon, and Mercury all clustered in their sign is a massive defining concentration of energy. This isn't just a regular week. This is their personal new year, their personal reset button.
Yeah.
In terms of work and ambition, the week might start off feeling quite introspective or even isolating due to the retrograde. But as the moon moves into Virgo and Libra later in the week, they're going to feel a significant, undeniable push to step up out of their shell. They will be asked to serve as a guide for others and eventually to take firm command of the ship.
You know, it's an interesting psychological observation regarding Cancer. The archetype of Cancer is the mother, the nurturer. The crab carries its home on its back to protect others. They usually live to pour their energy into taking care of their friends, their family, their colleagues.
Exactly.
But looking at these specific transits, it feels like this week, the universe is forcefully asking them to fiercely, almost aggressively, nurture themselves for once.
That is exactly the dynamic at play. The new moon in their own sign represents a profound inner battle between their habit of self-sacrifice and their desperate need for self-preservation. They are closing major emotional cycles connected to the past 12 months. It is about drawing a hard, definitive line under the past. If a Cancer has been overextending themselves, draining their own cup for people, jobs, or relationships that do not reciprocate, this new moon is the cosmic mandate to cut the cord.
How does suddenly asserting these boundaries affect their love and social life?
Yeah.
Because usually when a people pleaser sets a boundary, the people around them don't like it.
Some won't, and those are the cords that will be cut. But paradoxically, when Cancer starts assaulting those healthy boundaries, their actual magnetism goes through the roof. Confidence is attractive. The Leo moon midweek makes them incredibly alluring to others.
Boom.
Invitations to social events are going to pour in. But the challenge is that they have to be ruthless with their RSVP list. They cannot attend everything just to make other people happy. They need to prioritize genuine fun and only surround themselves with uplifting, low-maintenance people. Absolutely no emotional energy vampires are allowed in their space this week.
I love that rule. So the core lesson is boundaries and unapologetic self-nurturing. What is the practical action for the crabs?
Take command of your own narrative. Sit down in a quiet space, define your true priorities for yourself, and set one ambitious, entirely personal goal for the next 28-day lunar cycle. Do not make this goal about helping someone else achieve their dreams. Make it entirely selfishly about what you want to achieve for your own sense of deep security and happiness.
Put your own oxygen mask on first, Cancer. It's time. Now, as Cancer steps up to take command of their emotional life, we look next door to Leo, who is always preparing to take center stage. But it seems like our lions have to clear out some serious ghosts from the wings before they can perform.
Leo has a profoundly fascinating, highly contrasted week ahead. On the career and ambition front, things are incredibly bright because Jupiter has recently entered Leo. This is huge news. Jupiter is the largest planet in our solar system, and astrologically, it brings expansion, luck, momentum, and a massive creative bonanza.
That sounds amazing.
It is. But, and this is where the nuance comes in, if we look at the tarot energy corresponding with Leo right now in the sources, it points to the Five of Wands.
For those unfamiliar with tarot imagery, what does the Five of Wands look like, and what does it mean?
Visually, the Five of Wands typically depicts five people swinging large wooden staffs at each other. It looks chaotic. It is a card of conflict, competition, and struggling to be heard over the noise of a crowd.
Oh, that's an interesting paradox.
Yeah.
So Leo is feeling this massive, expansive Jupiter luck, but the tarot is saying they still have to fight for it.
Yes. The message for their career is that the universe is offering them a massive opportunity, but they have to actively claim it. Do not be afraid of competition this week. You have something unique to offer. You fully deserve to be in the arena, but you have to actively swing your wand. You cannot just sit on your throne and expect success to be handed to you on a silver platter just because Jupiter is in your sign.
You have to engage in the skirmish. And what about love and social energy? Because Mercury is retrograde, and you mentioned ghosts.
This is where it gets heavy. The new moon and Mercury retrograde in the sensitive sign of Cancer, which sits right behind Leo in the zodiac wheel, are conspiring to bring a blast from the deep past. And it might not be a pleasant one.
Yeah.
Over the weekend, Leo may encounter dark moods, unresolved grief, or even attempts at emotional manipulation from past partners or friends. The tarot energy showing up here is the Three of Swords.
The Three of Swords. Visually, that is literally a large, floating red heart being pierced straight through by three sharp swords, usually against a backdrop of rain and gray clouds. It is one of those stark cards in the deck.
It is brutal imagery, yes. It represents profound emotional sorrow, heartbreak, or a painful realization that must be addressed.
Let me try to wrap my head around how Leo navigates this. Imagine Leo's week is like deciding it's time to finally clean out a messy, packed walk-in closet. You know, you have all these beautiful, expensive new clothes you want to hang up and display. That is the expansive Jupiter and Leo energy. But in order to make room for the new wardrobe, you are forced to drag all the ugly, dusty, moth-eaten boxes of your past out into the bright light of the bedroom. You have to actively sort through the old pain, the past relationships, and the lingering sorrow, bag it up, and throw it out before you can build the beautiful new reality.
I think that is an exceptionally clear way to visualize it, because the core lesson of the Three of Swords is that you cannot deny the pain. Pretending a broken bone doesn't exist doesn't make it heal faster. It just makes it heal incorrectly. Leo has to look at the messy closet. They have to acknowledge the hurt.
Yeah.
But, and this is their crucial spiritual lesson for the week, you cannot wallow in it either. You don't pitch a tent inside the messy closet. You feel the feelings, you process the sorrow, you acknowledge what it taught you, and then you firmly move forward into your Jupiter expansion.
What is the practical action to help Leo actually execute this?
Fight for what you want creatively and professionally right now. Lean fully into that Five of Wands competitive energy. Put your hat in the ring. But when it comes to love, romance, and interpersonal drama, delay any major relationship decisions until Mercury goes direct next week. Do not finalize a breakup, do not accept a reconciliation, and do not sign any emotional contracts while you are in the middle of dragging the dusty boxes out of the closet.
Delay the drama. Embrace the ambition. Excellent rule of thumb. Let's move from Leo's intense, fiery internal closet cleaning to Virgo, a mutable earth sign who, as we know, prefers to focus strictly on practical, tangible reality.
Virgo is very much in their element this week, especially as we move toward the weekend. In terms of work, money, and ambition, the moon actually enters Virgo at the end of the week, which is going to create a highly empowering couple of days for them.
That's great.
Their natural attention to detail, their unmatched organizational skills, their ability to synthesize complex information, all of it will brilliantly showcase their talents to the people who matter most in their career path.
They get to shine by being exactly who they are.
Eh.
And what about their social energy? We touched on Venus being in Virgo right now earlier in the deep dive.
Yes, having Venus, the planet of love, in their own sign means they are fully expressing affection through acts of service. They are the ones voluntarily organizing the complicated group chat, planning the logistics for the weekend trip, and making sure everyone is fed and taken care of.
Typical Virgo.
Exactly. The Cancer new moon is going to fuel a very vibrant social life for them, and they might even reconnect with some faces from the past, but it's the Leo moon midweek that is going to act like a harsh spotlight, revealing the truth about their social circles. They are going to see, with piercing clarity, who actually reciprocates their acts of service and who just lazily takes advantage of their competence.
Okay, let me pause and drill down on this Venus and Virgo placement for a second. We know the archetype of Virgo involves perfectionism. If Venus in Virgo makes them prone to being hypercritical and their love language is fixing things, how can a Virgo show affection this week without accidentally nagging their partner or their friends to death? We talked about the "you loaded the dishwasher wrong" syndrome. How do they avoid that?
It's a very real trap for Virgo because their criticism genuinely comes from a place of love. They just want things to be optimal for everyone. The way out of this trap is by consciously tying their behavior to their emotional and spiritual lesson for the week. Deeply internalizing that the phrase health is wealth applies to emotional boundaries and peace of mind just as much as it applies to physical wellness or a clean kitchen.
Oh,
They need to intentionally stop fussing over their partners and friends so much.
so active restraint.
Exactly. If you are a Virgo and you catch yourself about to criticize how someone is doing a chore or how they are handling a problem, you have to step back, take a breath, and ask yourself, does this actually matter to the foundation of our relationship, or is my own internal anxiety just looking for a target to micromanage? The profound lesson for Virgo this week is to allow life and the people in it to be a little messy.
Let the dishes be loaded wrong. Let the email have a typo. It's okay. What is the practical action for Virgo this week?
Evaluate your social circle objectively. Use that incredible, discerning Virgo eye, not to critique others' flaws, but to notice who actually shows up for you when you are the one in need. If you realize you are always the one rendering service, always the one organizing, always the one compromising, it is time to drastically rebalance the scales.
Speaking of rebalancing the scales, that is the perfect pivot to our next sign. Let's look at the cardinal air sign, the Zodiac's ultimate relationship seeker and diplomat, Libra.
Libra has a very complex, highly interesting dynamic playing out. For work, money, and ambition, the new moon in Cancer is likely going to throw some sudden, unexpected surprises or shifts into their career sector.
Okay.
The water energy of Cancer can make Libra's air energy feel incredibly heavy and bogged down, but they are completely equipped to handle this if they look at the broader picture. Remember when we talked about Saturn being in Aries right now?
Yes, the taskmaster planet demanding structure in the fiery sign of Aries.
Right. And Aries is Libra's exact opposite on the zodiac wheel. So Saturn is sitting directly across the table from Libra, staring them down. Astrologically, when a heavy planet opposes your sign, it is actively challenging you. Saturn is pushing Libra, almost forcing them to step out of their comfortable diplomatic partnerships and into a position of singular leadership.
Wow.
They are being forced to stand on their own 2 feet without leaning on anyone else. Because of this, they may receive some blunt, constructive criticism from bosses or mentors this week, but they absolutely must take it as fuel for their growth, not as a personal insult.
I see a massive point of friction here, though. Libra's ruling planet is Venus. Their symbol is the scales. Their entire psychological makeup revolves around maintaining peace, harmony, and making sure everyone gets along. They loathe confrontation. So Saturn is demanding that they step up and lead, and they are dealing with career surprises and critique. How does a Libra assert authority without feeling an overwhelming sense of guilt that they are being the bad guy?
You've hit the nail on the head. That tension is the exact core of their emotional and spiritual lesson this week. Libras are having to learn, perhaps painfully, how to find their authentic voice and take the initiative, even if it actively disrupts the peace they so desperately crave.
That's tough for them.
It is. What's fascinating about Libra's journey here is learning the true nature of leadership. True leadership often requires a temporary, uncomfortable disruption of harmony in the present in order to establish a much better, more equitable, and more sustainable peace down the line.
So they have to accept short-term friction for long-term balance.
Precisely. They have to realize that establishing a boundary or giving an unpopular directive does not make them a villain. And thankfully, their love and social energy will actually support this growth. The moon entering Libra on Sunday is a beautiful, restorative transit that allows them to truly show up for themselves. It gives them the emotional grace to welcome love and support while flawlessly balancing their newly established duties and boundaries.
What's the practical action for our Libras to lean into?
Redo or review your work carefully. Since Mercury is retrograde and you might be receiving that Saturnian feedback, use this slow, backward energy to perfect a project based on the constructive criticism you received. Don't let your feelings get hurt. Use the critique as a blueprint to make your work absolutely undeniable.
Make your work undeniable.
Oh.
Okay, moving from Libra, finding their authority in the bright light of day, we move to our fixed water sign, Scorpio, who is, as always, quietly and intensely plotting their empire in the shadows.
Scorpio is in full calculated strategy mode right now. In terms of work and ambition, the Cancer new moon is forming a very supportive, flowing trine to their sign because they're both water signs.
Oh, that's helpful.
This harmonious energy gently but firmly pushes Scorpio to be profoundly, brutally honest with themselves about what they're actually seeking professionally. It strips away any lingering self-deception or settling. And then, as the moon shifts into Leo midweek, it provides them with the actual fiery courage to prepare to take the lead and execute their vision.
But they shouldn't launch yet, right? Because of Mercury retrograde. It feels like Scorpio is a chess grandmaster right now. They are sitting in silence, seeing the entire board. They are moving the pieces 10 steps ahead of their mind. They know exactly what their opponent is going to do, and they know exactly how they're going to win the game. But they shouldn't really reach out and physically touch the board until Mercury goes direct.
I love that. Yes, the internal strategy is flawless, but the external timing is not yet ripe. And that ties directly into their deep emotional and spiritual lesson for the week. Learning the mastery of planning now, but waiting to act. Scorpio is a fixed sign. They possess immense, almost terrifying willpower and focus.
Definitely.
But the Mercury retrograde demands patience before they launch their grand strategy into the world. If they make their move too soon, the changing blueprints and the chaotic emotional communication of others will mess up their perfectly constructed game.
So what are they doing with their social life while they wait? Are they just sitting alone in a dark room, intensely plotting their career domination?
Not entirely. They do need to surface for air. The Venus-ruled Libra moon at the end of the week acts as a very gentle cosmic tap on the shoulder. It is a reminder telling them to consciously soften up, step back, allow themselves a break from their own relentless intensity, and just enjoy some superficial, easygoing social interaction without analyzing everyone's hidden motives.
Give the psychology a rest for a night. What is the practical action for Scorpio?
Perfect your skills strictly behind the scenes. Use the analytical, meticulous energy of the Virgo moon later in the week to study, refine your grand plans, and prepare your materials. Get everything 100% ready in the dark so that when Mercury finally goes direct, you can strike with absolute precision in the light.
Striking with precision. Very Scorpio. Now, while Scorpio is plotting in the shadows, it seems our immutable fire sign, Sagittarius, is finally stepping out into the expansive light.
Sagittarius is experiencing a major, very welcome psychological shift this week. On the work and ambition front, the Virgo moon brings them something they generally do not naturally crave, but desperately need right now to succeed. A deep desire for structure.
Wait, really?
Yes, after a long period of feeling limited, boxed in, or exhausted by the details, they are finally able to zoom out and see the bigger picture again. They are dreaming beyond the boundaries they felt were holding them back recently.
Okay, let me stop you there and play devil's advocate. Because Sagittarius is symbolized by the centaur. They are the wanderers, the philosophers, the explorers of the Zodiac. They love to run free, be spontaneous, and hate feeling tied down. Isn't telling a Sagittarius to embrace structure and details the quickest possible way to make them panic and bolt in the opposite direction? How do you make the concept of structure appeal to a centaur?
It's a great challenge. The way you sell the concept of structure to a Sagittarius is by accurately framing it not as a cage, but as a map to their ultimate freedom.
A map.
Without structure, a Sagittarius with big ideas is just wandering aimlessly in the desert, burning energy. But with a structured plan, a budget, a timeline, they can actually reach the distant, exotic horizons they're dreaming about. The structure is merely the vehicle that allows for their massive expansion.
I see. Structure as a vehicle for freedom.
Yeah.
That completely shifts the perspective. How is their social and love energy interacting with this?
It's positively dazzling. Truly, it feels like a new beginning for them. The Leo moon connecting with Jupiter, and remember, Jupiter is Sagittarius's ruling planet, so they feel its effects deeply expands their natural optimism and makes them incredibly socially radiant. People will be magnetically drawn to their big, expansive, fiery energy this week.
And what is the spiritual lesson they are absorbing?
It is fundamentally about climbing out of the dark. The new moon in Cancer is granting them profound emotional hope and courage after what has likely been a long, arduous, somewhat isolating emotional journey over the past few months. They're finally realizing that the light is returning and their optimism wasn't misplaced.
What's the practical action for Sag?
Build those structural plans. You have the grand, beautiful vision. Now you have to sit down and write the actual, boring, step-by-step instructions on how to get there. Ground the dream in tangible reality so it can actually take flight.
Ground the dream. Moving on to our cardinal Earth sign. If we look across the zodiac wheel from the Cancer new moon, Capricorn is sitting directly opposite, experiencing the direct reflection of all this intense energy.
Yes. Capricorn is sitting exactly 180 degrees opposite the new moon. In astrology, oppositions create tension, but they also create a massive opportunity for integration and balance. For work and ambition, the Virgo moon later in the week, which trines Capricorn, as they are both earth signs, acts as a massive grounding fuel source. It drives their intrinsic desire to evolve, to climb higher, and to reach for the stars. The momentum is carrying them forward to continue relentlessly building their legacy and their material foundation.
But Capricorn is so naturally goal-oriented. They are the mountain goat, constantly focused on the peak, often ignoring everything else to get there. With the new moon happening in Cancer, which is the sign of family, profound emotion, and the home, is this week basically asking Capricorn to put down the Excel spreadsheet and actually go hug somebody?
In a word, yes. That is exactly what the universe is demanding of them. Their love and social energy and their overall baseline happiness are deeply tied to acknowledging this Cancer new moon. Capricorns are being asked to realize the tangible, undeniable value of their emotional support system.
Wow.
The lesson is simple but hard for them. You cannot sustain an empire if you are emotionally starved. You cannot build a legacy if you have no one to share it with.
And their emotional lesson goes hand in hand with that, I assume.
Yes, it is about learning to be deeply appreciative of what they have right now in the present, even when it isn't perfectly optimized. Capricorn always wants to improve, to reach the next level, to fix the flaws. This week is teaching them to find genuine satisfaction in the present moment and to value the people who are currently standing beside them in the trenches.
What is the practical action for Capricorn to implement?
Focus on positive gifts. Verbally, explicitly express gratitude to the people who are protecting and supporting you behind the scenes. Don't just think it in your head and don't assume they know because you pay the bills. Say it out loud. Tell them you appreciate them.
Put down the spreadsheet, look them in the eye and say thank you. It's powerful.
From Capricorn's earthy, structured gratitude, we move to the fixed air sign of Aquarius, the forward-thinking innovator who, ironically, seems to be getting violently pulled backward this week.
Aquarius is a sign that fundamentally lives 5 to 10 years in the future. They are ruled by Uranus, the planet of tomorrow. But this week's deeply emotional Cancer new moon, combined with Mercury retrograde, is yanking them firmly back to the past.
Ouch.
But it's happening for a very constructive reason. For work and ambition, the Virgo moon is going to inspire some wonderful, highly practical ideas. But more importantly, they're going to start seeing the actual, tangible financial fruits of the obscure labor they put in months or even years ago when no one else understood what they were building. Oh, that has to be incredibly validating for an Aquarius, to finally be proven right. But what about the retrograde pole? How does that manifest?
The retrograde pole is showing up vividly in their emotional and spiritual lesson. They're being forced by the cosmos to revisit past experiences, past failures, or past daily routines, specifically to figure out how to bring healthy, sustainable structure to their daily life moving forward.
It's almost like an eccentric, brilliant inventor who has been locked in the lab for 6 days straight, surviving on energy drinks, finally having the jarring realization that they actually need a normal sleep schedule, sunlight, and 3 meals a day if they want their genius machine to actually turn on and work.
That is exactly the dynamic. You cannot sustain radical genius on erratic, chaotic energy indefinitely. Eventually, the body and the mind need grounding, and they're going to see the profound benefit of this in their social life, too.
How so?
The Leo moon is going to show them how much more enjoyable and, frankly, how much more productive life is when they're actively working as part of a warm, engaged team, rather than constantly isolating themselves as the lone wolf misunderstood genius.
What is the practical action for Aquarius this week?
Implement a new, highly structured daily routine that physically supports your unconventional ideas. Give your eccentric genius a solid, predictable framework to operate within. Go to bed on time so you can change the world tomorrow.
A framework for genius? I love it. Finally, we float into the deep, imaginative, boundless waters of our mutable water sign, Pisces.
Pisces is absorbing this Cancer new moon energy like a dry sponge drop in the ocean. Cancer and Pisces are both water signs, so this energy flows beautifully and intensely for them.
That sounds intense.
It is. In terms of work and ambition, this translates into a massive, overwhelming wave of ideas fueling their artistic, intuitive, and creative side. They are going to feel deeply, almost painfully inspired. And as the moon moves into fiery Leo later in the week, they're going to clearly see the benefit of fiercely focusing their energy strictly on the creative pursuits that bring them actual pure joy, rather than the tasks they feel obligated to do out of guilt.
But hold on, we have to look at the ruling planets here. Pisces' modern ruler is Neptune, the planet of dreams and illusions, and Neptune is currently retrograde right on their boundary. With Neptune retrograde blurring reality and Mercury retrograde actively messing with logic, how on earth does a Pisces tell the difference between a genuinely brilliant, creative intuition that they should pursue and just a fleeting delusional fantasy this week?
This raises a vital question, and it is the absolute crux of their challenge this week. For Pisces, the line between divine inspiration and absolute illusion is paper thin right now. The way they tell the difference is by relying heavily on their emotional and spiritual lesson for the week, learning the agonizing art of patience.
Ah, patience.
They are going to feel an intense, burning urge to create and share their visions with the world right now, but they need to let these ideas incubate in the dark.
So a waiting game to test reality.
Exactly. If an idea still feels brilliant, solid, and actionable in 2 weeks when Mercury finally goes direct, it was genuine intuition. If the idea fades away like fog when the transit's clear, it was just a fantasy.
How is their love and social life looking while they incubate these ideas?
Very supportive, actually. The Virgo moon, which is Pisces' direct opposite sign, provides a grounding anchor. It makes it much easier for them to reach logical, grounded compromises in their relationships rather than getting swept away in emotion. And then the Libra moon on Sunday helps them objectively see their own inherent strength and beauty during moments when their typical self-doubt creeps in.
What is the practical action for Pisces to navigate all this heavy water?
Hold off on officially launching any new creative pursuits, businesses, or major declarations until Mercury goes direct. But absolutely sketch, brainstorm, journal, and create voraciously in private right now. Use this chaotic time as a sacred, protected creative incubation period.
Okay, let's unpack everything we've just covered. We have walked through the entire zodiac, from the spark of Aries to the depths of Pisces, and it is abundantly clear that there is a massive spectrum of human experience happening under this one sky this week. If we zoom all the way out and look at the extremes of the zodiac right now, who is riding highest on this wave and who is currently carrying the heaviest load?
If we look at the strongest, most empowered zodiac sign of the week, it is unequivocally Cancer. With the sun, the new moon, and Mercury all convening in their home sign, they are experiencing a massive, unparalleled cosmic reset. It is their personal new year. And if we look at the tarot to conceptualize this, the energy directly correlating with Cancer this week is the star.
Oh, wow. The star. For those who don't read tarot, that is arguably one of the most profoundly beautiful, optimistic cards in the entire major arcana. It usually depicts a woman peacefully pouring water into a pool and onto the earth under a bright guiding star.
It is the card of ultimate undeniable hope. It represents deep healing, spiritual clarity, and taking peaceful command of your destiny after a traumatic period of upheaval, which is represented by the Tower card that comes right before it.
Okay.
Cancer has the universe's full enthusiastic permission to wash away the pain of the past year and step into a place of profound emotional clarity and renewal. They are in the strongest possible position to dictate their own future right now. They just have to trust the water.
That is beautiful for Cancer. Okay, so Cancer has the star. On the exact flip side of that coin, who is the most challenged zodiac sign this week?
The most challenged sign this week is Capricorn. And I want to explain exactly why this is happening without any fear-mongering, because it's a mechanical astrological reality, not a curse.
Right.
Capricorn sits at 180 degrees directly opposite Cancer on the zodiac wheel. So while Cancer is experiencing the new moon natively in their own living room, Capricorn is sitting directly across the street, absorbing the full, heavy, reflective impact of all that intense emotional water energy.
And Capricorn is an earth sign ruled by Saturn. They are stoic, they build walls.
Hmm.
So this water energy is basically actively eroding their usual defenses.
Exactly. It completely opposes their natural, earthy, controlled nature. It feels invasive to them. And the tarot energy showing up for Capricorn right now perfectly illustrates this. It is the Ten of Wands.
The Ten of Wands. That card depicts someone with their back turned, aggressively hunching over, struggling to carry a massive, overwhelming bundle of 10 heavy wooden sticks toward a distant town.
Yes. Capricorns are feeling an immense, almost crushing burden of pressure and responsibility right now. They feel like they have to carry the weight of their family, their career, and their own expectations entirely by themselves. The water energy is making the wands heavy and waterlogged.
But there is a deeply reassuring takeaway here, right? Because mathematically, if we are looking at the tarot, the 10 is the absolute end of the numerical cycle in the minor arcana.
That is the crucial saving point of this whole transit, the core message for Capricorn, and truly the message for anyone listening who is currently feeling the intense squeeze of this Mercury retrograde and the pressure of the magic triangle, is that the Ten of Wands explicitly means the hardest part is already over. You are at the absolute end of the cycle.
The finish line is in sight.
The intense, crushing pressure you are feeling right now is just the final exhausting push before the profound relief of a finished journey. You don't get a Ten of Wands at the beginning of a project. You get it on the last mile. You are almost there. Don't drop the wands now. Don't give up. But know with absolute certainty that you get to put them down very, very soon.
That is incredibly reassuring. So what does this all mean for us as we navigate the week ahead, regardless of our sun sign?
I want to leave you with a final thought to really mull over this week. Look at where the archetypes of Cancer and Capricorn sit in your own birth chart, or just observe them in the structure of your own life. Because even if those aren't your specific sun, moon, or rising signs, we all contain the entirety of the zodiac within our psychological makeup.
Sure.
We all have a specific area in our lives where we are desperately craving deep emotional renewal, safety, and a fresh start. That is your internal Cancer energy crying out. And we all have an area where we are exhausted, relentlessly carrying a heavy burden of responsibility and refusing to ask for help. That is your internal Capricorn energy.
It's the universal tension between the healing water of the star and the heavy wood of the Ten of Wands.
Exactly. So my overarching question to you for this week is, where in your life are you stubbornly carrying the Ten of Wands, insisting on bearing the burden all by yourself, staring down at the dirt, when you could instead be looking up, embracing a messy but beautiful fresh start, and navigating your way home by the star?
Where are you carrying the wands when you could be looking at the star? That is a profound, deeply necessary question to carry into this messy, contradictory, beautiful week of emotional renewal. We genuinely want to know how the specific energy is playing out for you in real life. What is your sun, moon, or rising sign? And how is this intense Cancer new moon showing up in your day-to-day? Are you feeling the powerful reset of the star, or are you feeling the heavy retrograde drag of the wands? Drop your sign and your experience in the comments below.
We always read through them, and it is endlessly fascinating to see the mechanics of the astrology manifest in real time through your stories.
And if you want to dive even deeper into the mystical, symbolic side of the week, I highly recommend checking out the companion tarot card video we produced for this week. We pull the specific, detailed cards for each individual sign, and it adds a whole other layer of visual clarity to these complex transits. But for now, remember that even if the cosmic blueprints keep changing, and the X-ray machine of your life is a bit murky with emotion right now, the ultimate diagnosis is renewal. Take care of your foundation, double-check your texts before you send them, give yourself some grace, and we will see you on the next deep dive.